Welcome to Anything New. My name is Pete, and as always, I'm here with Matt
What's up?
and Opie.
Hey, good evening, fellows.
Anything New is a podcast where we talk about anything new we've been using, perusing, or consuming. Episode 10, we're going to talk some video game pickups for me and Opie. Talk about some older series that we've kind of gone back and started rewatching to finish up. But first, Opie wants to talk about maybe a little bit of new music he's been getting into.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of accidental, but yeah, I stumble across some new music every now and then. I'm an oldie, but a goodie, and I like to listen to all kinds of music. And I've got some teenage, preteen kids in the house, and the pop stuff, the new stuff that's on the radio, kind of um, comes across in my car or my Spotify account all the time. I mean, my
Your
Spotify
algorithm is
algorithm
jacked up.
is jacked all up because we kind of share the same Spotify account. And it's so funny with sharing a Spotify account. You'll be really into something, and then all of a sudden your Spotify will get taken over by someone else listening on a different device. So then all of a sudden I'm listening to Mariah Carey's um All I Want for Christmas Is You in October. So that
Great
happens.
song. Great song, by the way.
It is, and I swear it's played constantly throughout the house in the holidays. My shout out to my daughter Ava. But if it wasn't for her, like, holiday spirit, like, Thanksgiving, or not really Thanksgiving, but Halloween and Christmas would not exist, because she's wanting to put the tree up, she's wanting to go shopping, she's wanting to decorate the house. She's a big elf on the shelf fan. Thank goodness. Maybe went back to the North Pole. I don't know who listens to this, but you know how that goes. So anyway, so
Yeah, you're right.
regardless of,
My son, he unfortunately I had to explain to him last Christmas that he was a little bit too old for Elf on the Shelf now, and the elf had to go
yeah,
to the house of another child who was much younger. So
yeah, yeah, that's exactly, that's a lot of work for you future parents. Elf on the
Oh,
Shelf is a lot of work.
guys, I just thought of a way we can make a cool $1,000,000.
okay,
Nobody's
Okay.
nobody's done it yet. We need to make little masks for the elf because this year people are gonna be setting up their elf and they
it's
gotta have a
true.
little mask over their face. You know,
Well,
it's
you
gonna
can't.
happen. You know it's gonna happen. So
Well,
we should be the first one. Put them on Amazon.
the poor elves live in quarantine anyway. They can't be touched. They can't be handled. They
That's
Ooh,
can't.
that's
true.
true. Yeah.
They just have to stay way far apart. Anyway, so I kind of said, I don't know how I got onto that, but new music comes out, and I stumbled across this new artist. He's not really a new artist, but he's an artist that wasn't anybody I would probably ever listen to nowadays. But I'm a huge Blink 182 fan from back in the day, and their drummer Travis Barker, he always has a lot of side projects that he does. He likes to collaborate with a lot of new music. He's really in the hip hop scene. So the newer hip hop artists that come out, they show him a lot of respect. Of course, he's a expert. He's a great drummer, so it kind of goes hand in hand. Well, this hip hop artist his name's Machine Gun Kelly, and he's been around for a while, and he's one of these young, tattooed up. He's a
Well,
white guy. What? Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, yeah. That's. I'm glad you said he's been out for a while because you said new artist, but he's not new.
No,
He's new to you and he's new to
yeah,
me,
he's
but
new to me. He's
yeah,
new to all of us,
right.
and he's new because it's new this week, and this is the Anything New
That's
podcast.
right.
This is what I listened to this past week. But all of my
Yeah.
feeds, all of my Instagram, all of my social media, I follow. I mean, a lot of Blink 182 groups, follow a lot of Blink 182 related stuff, and this guy kept popping up like fan stuff, and this new album is coming out, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, what does this guy? I mean, I'm kind of thinking, because a lot of bands like pay tribute to Blink 182, and they like to do, and sometimes fans like try to get their favorites in there on these fans groups. But then I kind of noticed that there was some stuff across the internet. Kind of looked it up, and he was like, Travis did a lot of songs on his new album and played on a lot of songs and co-produced a lot of songs. So I gave this guy a listen. And I'm like, when I first saw it, I'm like, I thought he was a hip hop artist, and just by looking at him, he's kind of that I don't know if you know who Little Peep was, or that whole hip
No,
hop
I don't know any of the Littles.
the littles, any of the littles.
Any of the
But
Littles,
it
I don't know
seems
any of.
like this subgenre, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, or I'm just not into it. But it's just a lot of like, like when we were in college, like the emo scene, the black hair, the mascara,
Mm-hmm.
the that whole scene.
Yeah.
That's kind of evolved to that's kind of like got a lot of home problems, got a lot of substance abuse. I'm going to sing about this sort of stuff. I'm really sad, sort of thing, sort of music. So he pretty much put that all into kind of a pop punk kind of album. And this whole new album that Travis plays a lot of songs on is, I don't want to say fell in love with it, but it was really catchy to me. I've listened to it like 4 or 5
Well, what's
times
the name of the
straight.
song?
Well, the name of the album is "Tickets to My Downfall,"
Okay.
and basically I've just listened to every single song. I posted a couple of official releases of the ones that that I found on YouTube, and one of them has Megan Fox in the video. But
Go on.
yeah, but yeah, I was just he covers a song from Paramore. Do you know who the the band Paramore? They're actually
Yeah.
from Tennessee.
Yeah.
They cover one of their more popular songs, "Misery." Let me pull it up here real quick, and I'll tell you. But
Misery Business or something like that.
yeah, "Misery Business." He covers that, and there's actually a video of that with Travis actually in it. But yeah, so I just really enjoyed this album, and I think Matt and I have discussed this before, and I don't know if Pete has discussed it either. But like I'd watched some videos, YouTube of some guys that go over a guy that goes over different genres of music, and he kind of like, what killed pop punk, or what killed alternative
Oh, I remember that.
music,
Yeah.
and, all that stuff, and why we don't see a lot more punk bands or like alternative bands like emerging now in this day and time. And the biggest thing that he explained to a lot of people, like the artists, like the talented kids or the talented people, the talented artists, it's like a lot more work nowadays to get people together to learn how to play instruments, or get people together to rehearse as a band, when everything's so electronic now, and you can like record and produce your own samples and just rap over stuff a lot more than you can just getting a band together and playing together and write music. And it comes to truth, because I mean the biggest example is probably Post Malone. He's one of the biggest
Yeah.
like talented people that's out there now. And James, we've seen him just play all of Nirvana songs. I mean, he can just rock it out. But what's popular? His hip hop stuff. That's some of his biggest, that's how he made it big. So yeah, this Machine Gun Kelly album, it's called Tickets to My Downfall, and I was really super surprised that a lot of it sounds like B-sides to Blink songs. There's a lot of just good writing in it. There's some good lyrics in it. I mean, it's a lot of dark stuff. He talks about substance abuse, he talks about girlfriends, he talks about being in love, all the stuff that you write songs about nowadays. But it was just good for me to like find something new that I enjoyed, that wasn't it wasn't hip hop, or it wasn't just pure pop. It had some drums, it had some guitar, it was had some distortion, and it's pretty. It was real catchy, real pop.
Yeah. So I saw this in the show notes, and then you linked the video. So I was like, oh no, why? I was like, because I know that much, the tiniest little bit about Machine Gun Kelly, as in I've heard of him, and I know that, or I knew that he was a rapper. And I hate most of today's rap and hip hop. Like, I don't hate the genre, because I grew up in the 90s, and there's tons of stuff from the 80s and 90s rap and hip hop that I love. But all the stuff that comes out today, I can't stand it. And when you linked this, I was like, why are you listening to this? And clicked on the video, and it's like, all right, well, Megan Fox is in it. That's reason enough to watch the video. Click the video, and I was like, all right, here we go. He's about to start, and then he starts like singing and playing guitar.
Yeah.
Like, what? And I was like, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And it's way different than everything else I've heard of his before. And actually, I liked it. So I'm gonna listen to the rest of the album when I'm working tomorrow.
Yeah, just do that. Listen to the rest of the album. And like I was looking back through, he had a 2019 release called Hotel Diablo, and I think it's more rap than it is anything, but one of the last tracks, Travis plays drums on it, and he kind of shows where he can go into that. I just watched the video on it on YouTube, and I kind of went back, and I may go back and listen to that album, but it's kind of cool to see. But definitely his older stuff is straight hip hop stuff, you know. And I think his name kind of come across the interwebs as he had some kind of beef with Eminem at one time, and I don't know why. I don't get into that stuff, or why, but you know.
Well, here's a MGK fun fact. I don't know if they really call him MGK, but I just did that just for street cred.
They do call him MGK. Yeah.
He was that Motley Crue documentary, The Dirt, that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He was
he plays Tommy Lee.
Right. I remember that.
Tommy Lee in the documentary.
Yeah.
Which he looks exactly like. Would they put a wig on him?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he looked exactly like Tommy Lee. Like you would have thought, okay, that's a 22-year-old Tommy Lee.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a good documentary, by the way. Yeah.
It was. And also, you're talking about Travis Barker and all of his collabs. You know, he did for one of my son's favorite artists, XXX Tentacion, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Blink, they worked on a couple songs of X's and they re-released it. You know, the previously unreleased songs. So Travis Barker was on that. One of them was called Faded to Black, and it's incredible. Yeah. I know I'd linked it in Discord one time before, Matt, and you didn't really like it very much.
No, I hated it.
Mark sings a lot on it, and I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. But Matt isn't. He's a little bit more of an old head when it comes to music. He doesn't like the younger stuff, so we have to try and coerce him to listen to some of the newer stuff.
I want to be careful, and I don't want to say that all music today sucks, because I want to respect that there are people that like it. So what I'll say instead is I hate all of it personally. I'm not going to say it's good or it's bad. I just don't like it. I think it's awful. My own opinion is I think it's terrible. I don't understand why rappers don't rap on beat anymore. They just like play a beat and then they just talk. I'm starting to sound like a boomer. But I don't want to get off on all that stuff. But like I said, I mean, there's, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so that's and so that era music, and cutting off probably right around early 2000s, that's my era of music right there. So
yeah. And I try to give, I really, really do, because I've got, like I said, I got a teenager and a preteen in the house. That stuff's in my house. You know, if we're cleaning the house and we turn our Amazon Echo on and it's playing it's going to be a pop station or some kind of hip hop pop station or whatever. But, you know, I'm in tune to a little bit of the more popular stuff. Now, you know, Gavin, he's got his own soundtracks and stuff. He listens to a little bit more of the, you know, the heavier stuff. He's got his own kind of guys he likes to listen to. But I just kind of think back in the day when I was about his age and I would jump in the car with my parents, or mostly my dad, and, you know, I would remember what he would listen to, some of the 70s rock that he was into, like the ZZ Tops and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And at the time, when I was that age, I didn't really appreciate it like I do now. And I didn't love it. You know, I was a teenager. Yeah. I didn't love that stuff. I mean, I wanted, you know, what I was listening to at the time. So he probably, I don't know how my dad, of course, he never wanted me to be into what I was into anyway. I don't know how he felt about the one thing. I think I'm trying. It's kind of funny. It's hitting me now, but when the Pearl Jam song "Dead Man's," what was the Jan and Dean cover that they did? James,
Last Kiss.
Yeah, He made a comment about that when we heard it on the radio one time. He goes, "You know, that's an old song." Oh, and another one. I used to like Poison a lot. It was like one of the
Skinny Bop.
Yeah,
I loved Poison.
Your Mama Don't Dance.
Mama Don't Dance and Rock and Roll All Night Party All Day. He goes, you know, that's a Kiss song, right? And and when I was like younger, I was like, there's no way Poison would cover an old song or whatever like that. And then and over here to my left, I've got all my dad's like albums, all his vinyl that he had.
Oh, that's cool.
I still have it. And I can remember him pulling that Kiss album out and showing me that song was an old song. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way that Poison would cover an old song, you know, whatever. But, you know, It's I don't love everything new now, but this album kind of caught. I was kind of pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed this album.
Yeah, Opie.
Nice.
Opie's Spotify soundtrack is influenced by WAP. That's what that's what influences his algorithm.
That's all over. I'm like, that's not good to be all over.
Anyway, all right. Well,
Wow.
that's our weekly hit on pop music.
Bunch of 40-year-old dudes talking about music. That's no wonder we
Yeah.
don't have any
Casey Kasem here.
listeners.
I like a lot of the younger stuff though. We listen to like Gunna, Lil Uzi,
Never
The
heard it.
Baby,
Don't know any of
Yeah.
that stuff. Never
J.
heard of it.
Cole.
Yeah,
I mean, we like a lot of that stuff. But it's like one of those things. Like the first few times I hear it, I don't really appreciate it. But then, like it's like after a while of listening to it in the car, I'm like,
listen.
hey, who was that other song? And he'll be like, oh, it's this one. I'll be like, it's a banger.
The other one, the other newer artist that I like after I heard him with Drake was Future. I really like Future's style
Yeah.
of rap. Matt would hate it. It's super mumble, but I really like some of the effects of stuff that
I just
he
don't
does.
get it. Just speak up. Why do you have to? Are you that lazy
And
that
Matt's
you can't?
listen. And Matt's the only one out of the three of us that can play an instrument and actually probably could read music at one time and doesn't appreciate artists for. Of course, he doesn't probably think they're real artists.
The only you mentioned Post Malone. The only good Post Malone stuff is the non-rap stuff. That's the only good Post Malone music is the non-rap stuff. All the rest of it is I can't stand it.
Okay.
Oh goodness!
Just
All
We'll
right.
put this episode out on Twitter. We'll probably get some. We'll be able to do a beef with Post Malone and MGK. Beef with anything new, guys.
All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about some. I saw in the show notes that you had listed an older show, and I kind of want to talk about an older show too. Mine is from HBO, and it's Succession. I don't know if you guys ever watched
this isn't
that.
old though. Like this is like a year old.
Well, there's been 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and the third season's getting ready to come out. So older is in 2018, 2019.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so season 3, I think that they're filming it now. But it's not set to come. I think it got delayed because of COVID.
Yeah.
But it's an incredible show, and it's won all kinds of awards. HBO usually has that one series that just like wins like Golden Globes and Emmys. Well, this one's been winning stuff for the last couple of years, and it's basically like a media mogul family. Like imagine like a family that owns like Time Warner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they have their hands in everything from like theme parks to cruise ships to cable news networks to newspapers, magazines, pretty much anything in media they have their hand in, and the whole show kind of revolves around it's like a real like eccentric family. Like they all have their quirks. Like one of the sons is Kieran Culkin, like Macaulay Culkin's
Right.
younger brother, he's such a good actor. But they're all like the brothers and the sons and the daughter. They're all like just so different and kind of all vying to be the head of like the media department or the whole shebang. Because the dad is in the very beginning. The dad kind of like has like a heart attack.
Right.
So like it fast forwards everything into like who's going to run this thing when dad's gone, But it's really good and I love it, and you guys should watch it because it's amazing. So
Yeah, no, I remember seeing the trailers for it a couple years back when it was first about to come on. I think I'd probably see it when it was time to watch Game of Thrones or whatever, and it looked pretty interesting. There was another. It reminds me of a show. I only watched a couple episodes of it. It was on Showtime, I think, called Billions. And it had I cannot Damian Lewis. That's the actor's name from Homeland, and he was in some other stuff too. But he was like a billionaire, and there was like a government guy coming after him. And I didn't watch too much of it, so I can't speak too much. But it sort of reminded me of that, where a guy who had tons of money was, this kind of smarmy guy, and I don't know. But it sort of gave me that sort of vibe. But yeah, I'd love to watch it.
They hit on like some kind of current event topics too that like when you watch it you're like, oh okay, like there's they they're not really, they don't really say one way or the other if they're like more conservative or progressive as a family, but they own the super duper conservative 24-hour news network just just by owning it, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So they
yeah,
get a lot of crap from like other family members because they own that, that news network. And it's really cool because you kind of see like the behind the scenes is probably like the way it actually is like these billionaires, they kind of sell and trade like multi-million dollar businesses just on a whim or just because they feel like it, you know what
yeah.
I mean?
They're like trading
Or
cards
they'll,
or something.
yeah, pretty much like they'll see, or somebody will make them upset and they're like, you know sell that business and gut it,
Yeah.
and then they'll put 200 people out. Like there was like one episode where a blog had like kind of said some bad things about the family, so they bought it, and then just to kind of go in and say you're done, clean out your
Oh
desks,
wow.
you got 15
See, that's
minutes.
interesting. I like that. Well, I mean,
Yeah, it's really good.
it's not good, but it sounds
Yeah.
interesting. Now, did they get real like wasn't I might be thinking about something else, but did they was there like an episode where they specifically mentioned like Trump being president, or did they not get
No,
that real world? It doesn't.
no,
Okay,
they
maybe
don't.
it's something else I was
Mm-mm.
thinking of.
No, they never talk about anything specific like
Specific.
that.
Okay,
But
yeah. I didn't know how specific they got with real world stuff. I guess they just more touch on the themes of what's going on than actual
yeah.
real stuff. Gotcha.
So yeah, Succession. I went back and wanted. Well, it's funny the way that it kind of came back up to me because I watched episode or season one when it first came out. Started season two and then kind of got sidetracked and missed it. And we just got HBO back a couple weeks ago, and I'd seen Lawson, or sorry, Opie, how we watched those pizza reviews,
Yeah, yeah,
Barstool Sports pizza reviews.
yeah.
So, and you know, Dave Portnoy, who's the president of Barstool Sports. I don't know if you guys follow that, but anyway, he does these pizza reviews on the street, like live pizza
Oh, he's
reviews.
the president.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh,
a
oh, I didn't know
the
that.
they call him Prez because
Oh,
he's
okay.
the head
Yeah,
CEO.
Barstool's pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, he was on the street and doing a pizza review and like live on Facebook, and just so happened one of the really funny guys on the show Succession, who's like a really quirky character. His name they just call him Cousin Greg because he's a cousin in the family, but he's a really good actor. He just happens to walk by, and he says, "Oh hey, I'm a big fan," and like shakes Dave Portnoy's hand, and then the camera guy, Frankie, that's the camera guys. He said, he goes, "You sound just like Cousin Greg from Succession." And he takes his glasses off, and it's Cousin Greg, and they're like they have like a little like impromptu. So anyway, I saw that, and I'm like, "Oh, I never finished that season," so I went back
That's
and watched it
cool.
from that.
Cool.
So anyway, we can move on. You wanted to talk about American Horror Story Asylum?
Yeah. So
Mm.
so this is a show that I started watching. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to hit the cough button. I started watching this maybe about a week ago or so. It was sometime between last episode and now. That's why it's new to me. But it's Halloween. I'm sorry, it's not Halloween. It's October, which means Halloween is coming. And I like to do scary stuff in October, watch scary shows and movies, and play scary games and stuff. And I was thinking, it's October. I want to watch a scary TV show. I want my next TV show that I watch at night to be something scary. And I didn't know what to pick. And I remember, and we talked about it before. I remember the very first season of American Horror Story. I watched it when it came out. I want to say 2011. And I
Yes.
remember it being, to me, I thought it was scary. I thought the first scene was the first season was scary up until the last three episodes when they revealed everything, and then it wasn't really scary anymore. And then on a whim, I want to say it was last year, maybe it was the year before. I watched the newest season of American Horror Story at the time. It was American Horror Story Cult. I watched that, and I actually don't remember how it ended. And then I started watching the newest season, which I don't even remember what it was called. But anyway, regardless of all that, I remember American Horror Story. I thought has always been really creepy, and the first season really scared me. The later couple wasn't really scary. But anyway, I was like, I'm going to start watching this again. I want to pick back up from the second season, which they don't really have. Like if you look on Netflix, it doesn't say season 1, season 2, season 3 because it's an anthology series. So the seasons don't tie into each other at all. They're some of the same actors. but they don't play the same characters, and the stories are completely different. So you don't have to watch one season in front of any other. You can just pick which one you want.
Yeah, I'm looking at American Horror Story now, and it's like Cult,
Yeah.
Roanoke, Hotel, Freak Show, Covent, Asylum, Murder House. So it's
Yeah,
not
Murder
season
House was
one
the
through.
first one. Yeah, I mean they list them in order going up, but you can watch them whichever order you want to. So I was like, well, I saw the first season. Let me watch the second season, which is Asylum, and it's freaky. Like it's not like scary, but it's a good one to watch in October, and it's interesting to watch right after having finished Ratched on Netflix because Sarah Paulson's in Asylum. She's in a lot of the seasons of American Horror Story, and this takes place in the '60s in a mental institution.
Oh wow.
It's a lot darker though than the mental
Ratchet.
institution in Ratched, yeah.
Ooh.
But there's still some weird things that go on. But this season is weird. It's got aliens, it's got satanic possession, it's got
Oh
a
my
serial
goodness.
killer, it's got monsters in the woods. Like it's freaky, man. And you never quite know what you're gonna get. And I haven't finished the season yet. I think I have 3 episodes left, so I'm interested to see how all of those things that I mentioned tie into each other. I kind of figured out where we kind of know where the monsters in the woods come from, how they figure in, and where they came from. So we got that much. But like I said, it takes place in the '60s. But there's also a story in modern time that they cut back to every so often, not all the time, but every now and every few episodes they'll cut to it for a few minutes, and it does tie into the larger story that takes place back in the '60s. But yeah, if you're looking for something spooky to watch in October, I recommend this season. Really, you probably couldn't go wrong with the whole series. I've only seen a few of the seasons, but Asylum is real good just because, like I said, it's got everything, and it's creepy, and there's times where it's gross, and
Mm.
it's
Man, I loved on season 1, Connie Britton,
yeah. Oh man. Oh,
aka Tammy
Tammy
Taylor
Taylor. I
from
will watch
Oh,
anything
Friday
that
Night
she's in.
Lights.
Yeah, she's the reason I watched 911 on Fox, and
And now you watch Nashville.
the only reason I watch Nashville
Oh
was for her.
yeah,
I don't
she
even
was
like
on.
country music,
Oh my gosh.
and I watched
Yeah.
all of Nashville just because she was in it.
Oh, you liked Nashville too, didn't you?
Well, yeah, she's what made me want to start it. But then I got wrapped up in it, and I actually liked the music in that show. Not all country, but the music in that
Is
show
there
was
just
good.
one season in Nashville? Was it? Was
No,
it
there was like
good?
5 or 6 seasons.
It
Really?
got crazy. Diana watched it, and there was like
It,
car wrecks and people getting killed,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
no.
all kinds of. Yeah,
it was
it
one of
was.
those. It started strong and tapered off, and it got weaker as it went along, and it got real soap opera-y as it went along. So,
Yeah, I can always tell the series that kind of drag on because I'll walk in and see Diana. She's watching a show, and I'm like, oh, how is it? Oh, it's great, love it. Then like season 4 comes out, and I go in, and she's like on her phone or playing solitaire, like on the tablet while it's on.
right.
I'm like, how's this show?
Um,
It's okay. I'm just trying to finish it. Like that's what she'll
Yeah,
always say.
yeah, The Walking Dead. Yeah,
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
the. I had no clue that was still on, and like it's
yeah,
getting
yeah.
ready, like
yeah.
it's like premiering like this week or something,
No,
isn't it? Or
season
last
10
week?
just finished, I think.
Oh
Did
man.
it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I had no clue, and I saw like an ad
Yeah, I've come to
online. I'm like, what?
with The Walking Dead. I've come to the point of waiting till it gets on Netflix just to binge it. I can't do it
Yeah.
if you just want to. It feels like you put so much time in the beginning into The Walking Dead. You feel like you have to watch it. Maybe.
You
Matt,
know,
did you read the comics up to the point where they're at now, where they put the skin, those people that use
the
the zombie
Whisperers.
skin?
Yeah, so I read the comics up to that point and just a tiny little bit into that arc. So I don't know I don't know how it all played out. I will say that I watched Walking Dead all the way up to the winter hiatus of season 9. So usually like shows will go off the air for a few weeks in December to
Yeah.
make room for Christmas stuff and whatever, and then they come back. So I watched all the way till that midpoint of season 9 and never came back to it. And I will say that even I thought, as big as a Walking Dead fan as I am, even I thought, yeah, this is starting to get tiresome. But season 9 started really strong, and when the the last episode of the first half of season 9 is when the Whisperers came in. So I haven't even seen them in the show
Yeah, I
yet,
haven't
but
seen
it
them
was like it got good again. Like it was really interesting. So I'm gonna go
Really?
like you said, it's on. I want to say I know season 9 is on Netflix, and I think maybe 10 is.
Let
So
me look.
I'm gonna go back and I think I'm gonna start over with season 9 because I can't quite remember a lot of the details of that. I know there was a time jump. But yeah, I'm
Nine
gonna.
seasons. 9
Okay, so
seasons.
I guess 10 isn't there yet. But yeah, anyway,
Nope.
American Horror Story Asylum. I'm enjoying it, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna watch another season. I'm not sure which one because you can watch them in any order. So, but yeah, it's a good creepy show to watch in October.
Wow, I'm a lot farther than I thought it was. I'm like 15 episodes into season 8. Like I still have the season finale of season 8, and then I can watch season 9.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not as far back as I thought it was.
Yeah,
But
you
okay.
should do it. It gets it like it revs up again. Like it sort of rejuvenates itself.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about Into the Badlands?
Yeah. So this is I started watching Into the Badlands like the day before or a couple days before our last episode. It was almost too new to talk about because I had only seen like 2 episodes. Wasn't educated enough yet. So this is my new treadmill show. I like to have a TV show, like a 1 hour TV show to watch while I get on the treadmill every day. Kind of helps motivate me. You know, I don't want to. I have to get on the treadmill, but at least I get to watch the next episode of whatever. So this is my new treadmill show. I just finished Justified, 6 seasons of that, and I like it. It's really interesting. Yeah,
It's the one that's like alternate reality kind of thing, right? Like,
well, I had to read. So I went on Wikipedia because I wanted, before we started, I wanted to make sure that I understood the story. So it actually takes place like 500 years in the future. So basically, war has basically ravaged humanity, but it's past that where civilization has almost reset itself. So there's not really, they don't really use a lot of electricity. They don't really use guns. It's mostly like candlelight, and they grow their own food. And instead of using money and stuff, they just trade and barter and things like that. But they do drive cars and motorcycles some, but mostly it's horse and buggy and that kind of stuff. And there's a section of the country that has sort of sectioned itself off into these 7 different territories, and each territory is run by a baron. And one of the main barons that you see controls all the opium, and one baron controls all the oil, and one baron controls all the something else. So they're sort of factioned off that way, and then each baron has an army at their disposal called clippers, and each clipper might take on an apprentice called a colt. They also basically have what is essentially slave labor called cogs, people like work in the fields and that kind of stuff. And at least the first season anyway, sort of centers around this one baron. Actually, he's a captain of the barons, known as a regent, and his name is Sonny. And he works for a baron named Quinn, who is he's a pretty bad dude. But Sonny is, he works for this guy and he follows orders, but he's starting to feel like it's wrong doing what he's doing. And he decides he wants to get out of the Badlands, but that's easier said than done, that kind of thing. One thing I haven't mentioned too is there is a lot of really cool martial arts fighting in this. So that's how a lot of them fight, is like with martial arts and stuff. And it's sort of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where there's a lot of wire work and stuff.
right.
Which kind of looks a little bit out of place, but I don't care because it still looks pretty cool. So there's a lot of really good martial arts action and fighting, sword fights and other kinds of weapons, things like that. So that's cool. But the world that they've built is really cool too, because the barons are they're not at war with each other, but they're starting to not trust each other. And, a baron might send a small group into another baron's territory to mess some stuff up, and that nearly brings them to the brink of war again, and that kind of thing. And I finished the first season.
Production value look good.
Yeah, I like the world. I like the costume design and the cinematography, and where just everything about it. The story, the characters. all the different, because it doesn't spend time with just the one guy. You actually spend time with another Baron named the Widow. You spend a lot of time with her, and Opie, you'd like her. She's a very attractive redheaded woman who is also a badass. There was only 6 episodes in the first season, so if you wanted to watch season 1, you could power through that pretty quick. I'm like 3 episodes into season 2, and I won't say anything that happens there, but the very end of the episode I just watched actually shows. Well, I don't want to say what it shows, but it's really cool, and it helps you get a visual idea of how the landscape is laid out now, and it's just really interesting. Like at first, I was like, I just wanted to watch it because I knew it had cool fight scenes, but I very quickly got into the story of all these different barons and their territories and the politics of it and that kind of thing. It's not as heady as something like a Game of Thrones with all the different kings and different, the north and the south and all those different places. But that's actually a good way to think about it. Is if you think about Game of Thrones and how there were different rulers in different parts of the world, that's kind of how this is. It's more a section of the country, but but that's kind of the same thing. So it's really cool. It's an older show, like you mentioned. It came out, I think it ran 2015. The third and final season, I think, ended last year in 2019. But
is it still, like, is it picked up for more seasons?
I don't think so. I think it's done. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's finished. But man, it's really interesting. I like it a lot.
Oh, yeah, I have to check it out. It sounds like something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Nice. All right. Well, let's move on. It's time to talk about some retro video games. Opie, do you want to go first with your pickups?
Well, actually, my pickups, I was going to tell you, is not video games. It's just the pickups.
Touche.
So
go ahead. Tell us about your pickups. What'd you
get? Matt knows a little bit about this because we kind of went crazy about it. But I went into Walmart the other day on my lunch break, and they had some new Mega Constructs. They're the other brand other than Lego for the lay folk. They're a different brand other than Lego, but they do have a really good licenses. And they
last time you got the He-Man stuff.
Yes, I got some He-Man stuff.
Oh, I saw that stuff. I saw it and I thought of you. Did you get the Castle Grayskull and all that stuff?
Well, I didn't get so they had some Mega Constructs. They don't even call them minifigures. They just call them figures, but they're individually packaged minifigures, and they have a whole new wave. And like I went a little bit crazy, but I got out the whole wave because you never know when you're going to see them again. But I'll show them off one at a time, and for the people not watching at home, if we're not live streaming, you can see it on the review. But a couple of them are ones that I already had, but they're kind of variants. Like they got either one's a repaint, or they've got a couple of extra pieces that the ones I had didn't have. So we'll start off. I got a Tila. She comes with a headdress.
Nice.
I already have a Tila, but she doesn't have that Cobra headdress that she's got on. Now this is exactly what the vintage figure looked like. And the first one
here's the other. I'll hold up the other figure so you can compare. She's right there on the end.
Come with a headdress, so I've got that one as well. And I was going to say, well, keep that up there. Keep that up there, Matt. Because the other one I got was one of my top favorite characters, and it's Faker. He's one of my favorite characters, and he's got the battle armor chest on there, and the original one just has the original chest. And
I don't even remember him.
You don't remember Faker?
I don't remember Faker.
What
did he do?
He's an android. And he's built by Skeletor. He's supposed to look exactly like He-Man, but of course he's blue and orange.
So you can see like
cartoon.
Yeah. No, I don't think
So honestly, there's He-Man, and then Faker looks just like him except blue.
All my Master Universe is all just cartoon in the Dolph Lundgren movie. That's it for me.
Oh, gosh. I don't think Faker was in the cartoon.
I don't think so either.
Speaking of which, when we get that new series out, when is that going to come out?
I don't know. Not soon enough.
Barbara is going to anyway. So another one is Evil Lynn, and Evil Lynn is black, and she, the first one is a purple. Her vintage figure is purple and blue. I don't have it close.
I've got it right here.
There's the vintage one, and there's
Oh
the
wow.
So I picked up the repaint one. I'm not big on repaints, but I like the variants. Because I pretty much got everything collected up in this point except for the huge Castle Grayskull. Okay, here's the big one Matt's excited about, Fisto. Remember
Yes.
Fisto? He had the big fist.
No,
You
I
don't
don't
remember?
remember
This was
Fisto.
like the vintage line. This was like a second wave.
Okay.
You remember the horses that came out that He-Man could ride, the mechanical horse?
Yeah, Stridor.
Stridor. That was Fisto's part. But these guys, him and there was a Jitsu guy that they kind of swerved at the waist, and their action was he punched with his big fist. And do you remember Stinkor? He actually
Oh
smelled.
yeah, he
He
did.
actually
Yeah,
smelled like a skunk.
yeah.
Figure skunk. So I got that, and
You got 2 of those, right?
yeah, I got you a Fisto and you
Oh.
a Stinkor.
That's awesome.
So, and Matt, I didn't tell you, but I went ahead and picked up.
Nice.
There's Merman, He-Man, and a Battle Cat,
Yeah.
and the Roton. That's Merman and the Roton, which is the bad guy vehicle versus Battle Cat. The other one that was there was the Point Dread, which was the Sorceress Falcon ship. I don't even know what it's called, but it actually fits onto the Grayskull set, so you can have a part that you add on, and it had also Skeletor and Panther in it. So I'm hopefully going to pick that up hopefully this week. Now I picked up a couple of VHSs this
I love
week.
it.
Ooh.
You love the VHS, the VHS pool. The first one is The Last Boy Scout,
What?
which was a pretty cool movie. I remember watching this when I was younger.
I've never
because
seen that.
You never seen it? The very beginning, it has a football scene in it, and I was like, "Is this a football movie?" And the dude, like, apparently he's tied in. I don't even remember the movie. I don't think I've watched it since then. But it's got Bruce Willis and is that Damon Wayans
Yeah.
in it? And
Yeah.
so the very first scene, Matt, is this. I guess this guy's tied into some bad stuff, but he's a football player, so he gets his stuff on. And they give him the football, and it's this real cliche. It's like raining, it's all muddy. And he breaks through the line, and halfway through the line, he pulls out a pistol out of his pants and he shoots tacklers.
Mhm. It's like the first scene of the movie, isn't
It
it?
is. He's shooting tacklers as he's coming to go to the end zone to score. I guess he was tied in, and then he blows his brains out in the end zone. So, and then the rest of the movie picks up. But I remember, we were somewhere for a basketball tournament, and we were in a hotel or something, staying the night. And my dad was watching this, and he was like, "You're not supposed to be watching this. It's got a lot of bad words in it." And the last one I picked up, this is probably a good one, but I picked up, this is Spinal Tap.
I've never
Nice.
seen that either.
You've never seen this is Spinal Tap?
No.
Oh,
It's
it's
good.
funny. Yeah, it's
It is
really
funny.
funny. It's really funny. But that's my pulls for this week.
Gosh, I love that you have a VHS collection. It's like you have one so that I don't have to.
Yep.
I love it.
That's awesome. Well, I guess I'll talk about my little pickups.
We need to do a whole special episode for your pickups.
Well, maybe off the air.
I got a little lucky this week. So you know how it is when you're kind of looking for something that you're interested in collecting, and you are watching the Facebook Marketplace. Like I'm on some of the local pages and swap shops and all that stuff, and a lot of times people try and sell stuff like just way overpriced, and you kind of you got to filter through all that junk, and then you'll get ones where you'll think you got a good deal, and then they message you back and say that it's already sold. So then you get those, and you'll get one where they'll say that they'll meet you, then they don't. So then you don't actually ever get it, and then they just ignore you. So there's always like trouble, right, with buying stuff.
yeah.
It seems like for me, like on Facebook, it's just either you're too late or they don't show up, or anyway.
Right.
So I'd found a guy who was selling some PS3 games, and he was selling it with a console, but I didn't need the console. So we ended up making a deal, and I met him, and he he was awesome, and it was like the best like interaction I've ever had with somebody through
Whoa.
Facebook. And he had a bunch of PS3 games, and they were just in such good condition. And the best thing about these games is that they just weren't littered with all sports games. There's not
Yeah.
like, a lot of times if you buy like, 20 PS3 games for, $2 or $3 a pop, half of them will be either a FIFA or an NBA or MLB The
Yeah.
Show, stuff like that.
Or
So
Call of Duty.
Or
Call
Call
of
of Duty.
Yeah.
Duties,
Grand
the
Theft Auto.
franchises that come out every year, and they're just, they're saturated the market. But this guy's collection, he just had,
It's good.
and I'm just looking through, and I came home and I posted a picture to the guys here and to get their opinion on it, because I thought it was a pretty good steal. There was games like Heavenly Sword, Darksiders, Heavy Rain. Then it's like more obscure stuff like the Shadows of the Damned, an EA game that I'd never even
Mhm.
heard of. It looks good. I mean, there were just so many titles like that, like, I mean, shoot. There's Bayonetta. I'm just kind of like looking through like the Resistance games, the Yakuza games,
Mhm.
Borderlands,
I know you've got Batman
Dynasty
Arkham
Warriors.
Origins. You've got Batman Arkham Asylum, I
Yeah,
believe. You've got there's a couple Spider-Mans in there.
yeah. Some Naruto games. And the crazy thing is, there's a bunch of them that are still sealed in the plastic, which
Yeah.
you don't see that a lot. So it was a good find. And now I told my wife, I was like, yeah, you need anything from IKEA? She's like, yeah, actually, there's a mirror that I kind of want there. I was like, I think I need to get a new shelf, because I think I'm running out of real estate, so I got to
Uh-oh.
add some. Yeah, so like with the screen behind me, this is actually just a green screen. It's for just aesthetic purposes, because in my little room here where I collect stuff, I kind of have my shelves over to the side, so I couldn't really put them behind me. So it was just so I'm not looking at a blank wall. Kind of put up some stuff, but kind of similar to what Opie has. If you can watch his stream, like his little white shelves, that's kind of what I'm rocking over here. But I kind of need to upgrade some new shelves. But yeah, anyway, that was my pickup. It was just a bunch of PS3 games, which I was kind of hoping that there were rumors that you'd be able to play PS3 games on the PS5. Remember when that was kind of stirring around at
Ooh.
first? But it's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, that's not.
So,
Yeah.
but Xbox, you can play all the way back to Xbox One, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
not the original
The
Xbox.
original Xbox, yeah. I don't know if
So
that's
that's kind of a bump.
100%, but it's really close.
Yeah, they said the overwhelming majority.
Yeah.
So whatever the overwhelming majority is, maybe
And they
like
did say
80%.
that like 99% of all PS4 games will be
Yeah,
playable on the PS5, but that's as far back as it goes.
it would have been really cool to be able to play PS3 games on the PS5.
Yeah, I
Like
would.
that would have been. So I don't understand why. It's just seems like, I mean, the hardware would be able to run it. It just seems like they'd be able to write some sort of software emulator to throw in there. I
Well,
don't know. It seems easy to me, but
I had that realization the other day where, like, upstairs in my living room, I've got some of those cube shelves like you see at IKEA,
yeah,
and I've got an original Xbox, I've got an Xbox 360, and then I've got my Xbox One X up there as well. And I'm like, well, I've got all these right here, and they're right next to my TV, so I can easily, if I want to play the OG Xbox, I can hook it up real fast. Or if I want to play the
yeah,
360, I can hook it up real fast. And it hit me the other day that whenever I do get a Series X, I won't even need to do that anymore. I'll just have the one thing, and I can
yep,
play any. I can play 99% of all the various Xbox of whichever generation. I can just have the one thing in there and play any of them. That's
yep,
awesome.
yep.
That's fantastic.
So I
But
mean,
yeah,
if Microsoft can do it, it seems like Sony would be able to do it. It's not like they've come up with some secret formula that nobody else has been able to pack into a console.
I think the PS3 thing was hardware, wasn't it? Related?
I
Did
think
it?
it was built on like some sort of different like architecture, right? Like a
right.
different chipset, and that's kind of like it was harder for developers to make games for that system. Wasn't that kind of like what was
Yeah,
said
I
back
think what
then?
it was I think what it is. So all PS3s will play PS1 games, and I think I might be saying this backwards. I think that's done through emulation, basically. But only the first generation PS3s were backwards compatible with PS2s because they had the right hardware inside. So basically, they use hardware emulation to play the PS2s, the PS2 games, whereas they use software emulation to play the PS1 games. So that's why all PS3s can play PS1 games, but not all PS3s can play the PS2 games because the later generations don't have the right hardware inside. So it all has to do. I don't know exactly, but it all has to do with the hardware inside and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Next week, maybe we just talk about it now since it's the end of the show. But did you hear that rumor that maybe there's a Dreamcast Mini coming?
Yes, I will own that.
That would be amazing, and I think, yeah, if they do release that, we'll definitely have to get that and kind of maybe do an unboxing on the stream or something and check it out because I would love to have a Dreamcast Mini.
Yep.
I wonder if they'll have like the little VMUs, but like a mini or a mini version.
Those things were too small to play on, as it was. I don't know how they would do. I have one of those somewhere. Oh no, I don't think
it did. It showed a picture of the VMU.
Oh really?
You're talking about the memory card?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I saw one. The rumor did it. Had rumored to have one of those with it too.
Oh, nice.
Those controllers weren't good though. I love the Dreamcast, but their controllers weren't good.
No.
Yeah. It was like a little bit better version than like the Atari Jaguar. Remember how big the Atari Jaguar one was? Like you had to like wrap your hands around it. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like controller, like aesthetics, just design. Like you can kind of tell because they're not really changing it from like the Xbox to the new Xbox and the PS4 to the PS5. They're like slight iterations.
Yeah, there's a share button now or something.
Yeah, there's just real slight changes because they've really, it's not like the Genesis or the old Nintendo NES. They've come a long way and they're just about as perfect as you can get, I think.
Yeah, I don't think like the hardware doesn't. This is an old Xbox One controller, but
yeah,
I don't think
great.
I don't think the hardware is really going to change much anymore. I think the only thing that'll change for next generations is like maybe like so it'll have the extra share button, or maybe other like buttons underneath the grips, or maybe like with the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, you can actually change the tightness of the joysticks and how far in you squeeze the triggers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll get that. We'll keep getting that kind of stuff. But as far as like button layout and shape and design, I think they've pretty much figured it out at this point.
I think they have too. And like they might come up with something like, I know my Logitech gaming mouse has like movable weights.
Yeah.
Where you can move weights in it like to the front or the back, and they'd have different, actual, weights that make it a little heavier or a little lighter. So they might do something like that. But yeah, it'd be interesting. But yeah, that's a
quick question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Xbox or PlayStation? Which controller do you prefer?
Oh, Xbox.
Yeah, me too. Sure. I do too. I like the offset joysticks better.
Yeah, I do too.
Than the ones in the middle.
Yep, that's that one that you're holding there. I think is the greatest controller of all time.
Yeah.
It just works so good. I don't have any sort of bias towards Microsoft. Like I love my PS4, and I use the controller and it's fine. But when I hold that controller, that Xbox One controller, that's to me that's the culmination of all these years of mistake controllers.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Opie? What do you think? PlayStation or Xbox?
Definitely Xbox.
Controller.
Yeah, definitely Xbox. I mean, if you had talked to me back when I was playing PlayStation, it would have been because I was into PlayStation 2 so much, and then the original Xbox came out with the Duke and whatever it was, those monstrosities. Those were hard to get used to, so I would probably put the PlayStation. But yeah, the Xbox 360 and up, it's been pretty much Xbox all the way for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete.
Cool.
I just want to say about your PS3 pickups. You didn't go over all of them, and that's fine. But I will say that the ones that you shared with us, they're because you showed us the whole collection. I will say I have never seen a better, I guess a better collection. I mean, unless you talk about owning the whole collection, but like from one single pickup of PS3 games, I've never seen a better mix of games before. Like you said, they weren't all Call of Duty and sports games. Like for what you paid for the amount of games you got and which games they are, which is the most important thing. It's like the planets aligned. And that was like the best, probably one of the best pickups I've ever seen. Like as I was looking through those, I was like, I would play 90% of all those games. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and the cool thing was, like I was saying, how he's such a nice guy. He was so knowledgeable. It was like he was just like pulling up title after title, and he was like, "Oh, have you played this?" And I'm like, "No." He goes, "Oh, this is so and so who developed so and so," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's just this guy's like blowing my mind here with all of his video game knowledge. But and he had like if it was like a story game, he had played all the way through it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
and I asked him, I'm like, why did you have so many sealed games? Like I have a couple, just from here and there. And he's like, well, my family just knows I'm really into video games. So like Christmas, Father's Day, birthday, they would just bombard me with like whatever was on sale. So
Okay.
he would get, like, for example, probably like Killzone 2 or Metro or Dirt 2, he probably just got those like as like a stocking stuffer and then just never opened them or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's the Dead Space games and all the Crisis and Mass Effects, and it was a good pickup. Like I said, you don't get those a lot, and for every one of these, I probably have 10 or 15 that either don't pan out or they're just not that great of games. If they're selling 10, maybe there's like 4 or 5 that you really have an eye on, and the rest are kind of like we were saying, Call of Duties or sports games that are kind of a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe when you showed us that. That's awesome.
yeah, I drove kind of far away for it. I'd sent the listing to Opie that morning, and I think what might have thrown people off from it was because he was trying to sell the console and the controllers and all
Yeah.
that stuff too. So he had a bunch of accessories. So he wanted kind of a lot more money for all that stuff, and I didn't need all that. I only need the games, and I was just like, let's make a deal on these games, and I'll come meet you right now. And then he was like, all right, let's do it. So we kind of got to a number, and then I met him, and yeah, it worked out good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was
So
a great haul.
yeah. But like I said, that's like a one in.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
don't
The
know.
the planets aligned. That won't happen again in our lifetime. That's how perfect that pickup was.
Yeah, it was a good one. But anyway, you guys got anything else before we cut it off here?
Hey, we watched a good scary movie last night. If you're
Oh
looking,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
we don't have to delve into it, but I do want to tell you the name of it, and I don't remember. Hang on. It was a South Korean horror movie from a couple years ago. Shoot, and I don't remember the name, and it's not in my watch list. Stupid Amazon not showing me my watch
It
list.
was the horror asylum something.
Okay, here it is. It's Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. It's Gonjiam Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. And
Hmm.
it was just real quick. It's a South Korean movie from 2018, and basically these dang millennials have a YouTube channel and where they stay in some of the haunted places around the world. And one of the places they stay for one of their videos is a haunted asylum, and it's one of those things where they set up cameras and they're all wearing GoPros, and they spend the night in there and try to see if they can see any ghosts or anything weird, and hilarity ensues. So I won't go into it much more than that. But if, like I said, October, if you're looking for something spooky to watch, this is about an hour and a half, and it is it's really good. I was totally not scared at all, and at no point did I put my hands over my face because I was scared of what
That's
was going to happen.
cool. That's so
So
funny.
like a lot of South Korean movies, it does take a while to get going though. But if you will stay with it, it pays off. So
Yeah, a
it's
lot of the Korean films or South Korean films or whatever, they do a lot of, I don't know if you want to call it character build up, but they really want to
Get you
have all the
invested.
yeah,
characters talk and let you know where they're from and what they're doing and all this good stuff. So yeah, it was
it's worth it though. It's one of the better scary movies I've seen in a while. So I recommend it.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's hit on our social medias real quick. You can find us on Twitter, anything newcast, Instagram, or anything new podcast. That's on Instagram. And stop by our Gmail. Send us some something you want to, maybe something that you've picked up or a show that you've watched and kind of want us to check out. And then we can talk about it and let you know what we think about it. That's at anythingnewpodcast@gmail.com. What about our YouTube? We have a Bitly link for our YouTube. I guess we could put that on Instagram and Twitter, right? So that people can hop on there and watch our YouTubes.
Yeah, we have all our episodes on the YouTubes right now. It's just bit.ly, it's bit.ly/anythingnewyt. And you can get in our Discord, which is bit.ly/anythingnewdiscord. And we'd love to have a community in there where we can talk about, where you guys can share your pictures of awesome pickups that you picked up. Well, that didn't make any sense. And, talk about, if you want to hear us talk about something on the show, talk about it in there, or just anything. Just we can chat in there.
Yep.
Yeah, just stop by and we'll hang out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys got anything else before we go?
That's it. Be sure to vote. There's only a few weeks left, probably 3 or 4 weeks left to vote, and make sure you're registered. Make sure you vote, and make sure you wear a mask whenever you go out. That's it.
Anything for you, Michael, Opie, that you want to add?
I'm good.
All right. Yeah, wear a mask and be safe and vote and stuff. All right. We'll catch you guys next week for episode 11. Can't believe it's been 11 weeks. Awesome.
Yep.
We'll catch you guys next time.
See you.
It would.